This is Proven Not Perfect podcast. I am Chantra Powell, and I'm so glad that you are listening today. I'm going to tell you what, this conversation is a really, really good one. It's kind of on the long-ish side, but it's worth every bit of the drip. It's emotional, it's fun, it's down to the brass tacks, and it's passion. All right, enjoy. Good morning, Idara and Eva.
Good morning.
I'm talking to these two sisters who not only are just beautiful, as I'm sitting here looking at them through my screen, but their energy with each other is special. I seriously, I am a sister. It's two of us. And I think we have a great vibe too, but I'm looking at you, but we don't see ourselves, right?
Mhm.
And it's pretty neat to see before me this perfect pair, right? This perfect pair.
Oh,
Take me to a Saturday morning, because it happens to be Saturday right now when we're taping. Take me to a
yeah.
Saturday morning in the Umo household with Adara and Eva. Like, who is doing what? What's the thing going on? Tell me that.
I want to start because I love Saturdays.
And that's Eva. Go ahead, Eva. What?
Yeah. Eva here. Yes. I love Saturday mornings when we were growing up. So we grew up in Northeast DC, like in the inner city, which is rare to find people who are from the city these days. But in our house on Saturdays, I always felt in my memory there was always so much light because Idara and I shared a room. And where the sun came in, I mean, it would just like that would wake us up. There would be so much sun beaming into the room. So that was always like very exciting. My mother would be making breakfast, which was usually always pancakes and frying up some pork bacon. Idara had some music on, which was always like, she's 5 years above me. So I always wanted to I always looked up to her. So she always had like some fun, like maybe some Tribe Called Quest or like just some fun music on. And I always remember us cleaning the room. Like that's like my memory of a Saturday. And always organizing. I would be trying on her clothes. And it's like a very fulfilling and sweet memory of a Saturday morning.
Tell me, Adara, what do you remember? What's your viewpoint?
So I have like two phases, but both very similar because of the age difference. There's me and her two brothers for a while. So Saturday morning was the same things, but imagine two older brothers that I'm looking up to, and they shared a room and I was separate. So this bright light, it's so funny. I hadn't even thought about that in so long, how bright the sunlight was coming into the room. Yeah, wakes you up. And then I would always run up and go to their room and see what they were doing.
So that's what she was doing when you were cleaning, Eva, just so you know. You were jamming that. Right. She was like, okay, goodbye. Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, no, this is all pre-Eva. This is all pre-Eva. But then, yeah, when Eva came along, then, my brothers started doing their thing. Eva and I started doing our thing. And it was like the Saturday morning cleanup. Our dad would send us to the library. So we had to would sometimes have to take the metro over to the library as well, my brothers and I. And then later, Eva, we would read, I remember it's like sitting down, you have to do homework, and then listening to comedy records like Bill Cosby and things like that, because there's no internet or anything like that. So just like experiencing DC in the city, like being on the bus, like being out, like our parents were very protective, but at the same time, we actually had a lot of independence.
Yes.
Explored the city a lot on our own. So it's like that's what Saturday and the weekends were, just all in the city, smelling my mom's food, this bright sunlight and this beautiful space that we lived in. I have really like warm memories of weekends with my family.
I feel the warmth. I literally feel like I'm there. I literally feel like I'm there with you guys, and you're taking me back too, right? There is nothing like this time frame that we grew up in where our parents could be protectors, but at the same time, the world wasn't encroaching in such a way that they couldn't give us the leash to find ourselves, to mess up, to grow. And yeah, you being out in the city, that's so super cool. So when you think about who you are now, and you start to define what really is shaped you to be the person that you are, the leader that you are, the businesswoman that you are, what would you say you take away from, your little girl, Idara and Eva, to be sort of brilliantly focused now?
Well, I think the interesting thing about growing up Nigerian is that, and with my parents, there's a mix of humility, being humble, but also being very confident in yourself. Our parents never stripped us down. We were always like risen up, and we were like talked about in the third person, like Nigerians are this, or you are capable of that. And it's sometimes it felt overbearing, but the majority of the time it just felt like this is like the flow of love to our children, and it's all very normal, and you realize that it sinks in without you fully knowing. So I grew up and I was incredibly shy, but I did not lack confidence. And those two things together put me on a very interesting journey. So I thank my parents for that mix of humility and confidence and belief in myself. And it has served me well. It has served me well.
Wow. What do you think, Eva?
Agree 100%. And just to add, now that I'm a parent, I can reflect on how I parent compared to how my parents parent.
Yeah.
And how I parent is
That's a
much
head trip
more
right there, right?
right. How I parent is, and I'm trying to work on it, but it's much more controlling. And I'm trying to, actively get my kids to turn out a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
And even though we have Nigerian parents who are kind of given, in general, there's like a perception that they're very overbearing. You have to be a doctor, blah, 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 blah. But our parents were kind
That's
of different
what the TV
from that.
says, y'all. I think
that's what the TV says, and that's true for a lot of Nigerian families.
It's true.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And even the characters, like do I shamelessly admit that I do watch the reality TV show? It's called The Housewives. And, there's always this persona that it's like, dang, is every Nigerian family that way? Okay.
Yeah, almost 99% maybe. But our parents, like, as I look back on it, they, like Idara said, instilled this confidence and really let us like find our own path. And I think that when you're able to navigate and be autonomous in your process, then that gives you a certain amount of like confidence and courage. Because I feel like I don't have things figured out, but I don't feel afraid to tackle things. Yeah. Even though there might be fear on the other side of it, once I get there, but I'm not afraid to like start and to jump. A lot of people are afraid to make that leap. And I think, again, that's because our parents just like made us feel protected in that way and unafraid and confident, I don't know how they did it, even looking back on it, because it's so overbearing. But just the way that they parented us, like gave us kind of a freedom and a courageousness, I think, to like do something like leave my orthopedic surgery practice after 4 years to jump into some unknown area to become an entrepreneur. It's a testament to them.
And you need all of those things, right? Because I literally pulled out, I heard courage, I heard humility, I heard confidence, I heard, first of all, being inspired because you felt capable, and that it was your right to be able to have. So those are all great things. And so now you guys get inspired. You have this vision. You want to start this business. First of all, tell the people what the business is. Give us an explanation of what the business is, because now we're very curious, right? So this orthopedic surgeon doctor has now turned entrepreneur. Tell us about
Yes, so I'm a board certified orthopedic surgeon. I specialize in foot and ankle surgery. And for a lot of female patients just tended to gravitate towards me because they want a provider who's also female. Um, and then also just by the nature of foot and ankle problems, a lot of the issues tends to affect women more than men. So my practice was just full of women, probably 80% women. And what I found was that a lot of the issues that I was treating were directly related to just bad footwear, like direct one-to-one correlation.
Girl needed
If
to
you
look
stop wearing,
good with the flash shoes, right? For cheap.
right.
And
Yeah,
walking.
like if you don't wear the shoe, your problem is gone. Yeah. And we're also just like you're saying, like our women's footwear, it can just absorb more of this like fast fashion, cheaper, bad shoe wear than men, than men's footwear. So anyway, I was treating so many problems that were due to this bad footwear, like from just like physical therapy to actual surgical problems. And, women want fashionable footwear, so they're not going to necessarily sacrifice to put on some orthopedic, older looking shoe. So my patients were saying, Dr. Eva, can you like give me a shoe that I can actually wear? Because the brands that I was trying to recommend were not working for them. So that's kind of like the practical aspect of why we decided to start a footwear brand that was more thoughtful and really use like scientific principles and medical principles to kind of save women's foot and their musculoskeletal health. And then it became more of a deeper passion and purpose to really help women kind of navigate how to find balance in their life. Practically is like, how do you find a shoe that's balanced, like it's stylish but comfortable? But like our bigger purpose is how do women navigate this life to feel balanced, to put themselves first, to stop sacrificing their health and wellness for everything else. And that's what's kind of driving our general brand today.
Wow.
Idara, you want to add to that?
Tell me how you caught this vision. Like what resonated for you, and was it as simple as Eva just kind of saying, "Oh my God, this is the theme that I'm hearing," and you were like, "Let's do it," or how this journey happened?
Yeah, so what you picked up on at the start is that Eva and I flow really easily together. So it didn't take much for us to flow into this together. Eva, had this idea. She has the experience in the background, and so it's hard to not jump on that. And Eva and I wanted to go into a venture together. We wanted to move into something together. We have successful careers, but we're thinking about impact. Like, what mark do we want to leave in the world? What do we want our kids to think about us, and the work that we've done in this world and what we've left? And so it was a much bigger conversation. This was actually never about shoes. It was about impact. And so
yes, that resonates. Ooh.
Yeah, impact, and I would say love, and that's where our shoe brand comes from. So AmaFi is a shortened version of "I love you" in our dialect. And this is a story. This is a brand about love for women. And like Eva said, if it's not
at our core, okay,
Oh,
can
yeah.
I contribute? Business minds are going to unite right now at our core, because when you say a Mafi, I love you, and you're so concerned that you're starting from my foundational element, my feet.
Yes.
Girl.
Yes.
What? When are we doing the campaign? Come on.
Exactly. So do you see how this came together? Because as we start talking about it, then you're like, Eva, like, this is deep. Idara, this is deep. Like, each time we're like thinking this through, we're like, oh my God, remember when it was this small thing? And then it's this. And then we're like, remember when it was this and that small, and now it's this. So this just kept building. And then you start to get, so first as a woman, you realize, it's your kids, it's your job, it's something that's pulling you away from getting that balance and nurturing yourself, not putting yourself first. And then it's just how industries treat women. As complicated as we are, we sometimes get the dumbed down version of something, or sometimes we get the thing that's not fully researched. So whether it's our reproductive health, or in this case, it's our shoes, guess what we're getting? It's not thoughtfully crafted design products specific to us as women and how we change over our lives and what we need. So Eva and I can represent that all day. And there is not a conversation that we have with a woman at most ages, but men as well, that it's like you just don't pick up on some of these elements.
I think men, and you guys tell me what you think. I think the conversations in the last, for sure, 3 years, and maybe the last 10 or so, that are emerging around some of the inequities, while I don't think our allies and men have figured out how to always be, they have become more aware and appreciative, because I hear them thinking about their daughters. Even as I was at a conference and I was speaking with a gentleman who was like, well, what is Proven Not Perfect? And I said, it is a forum for our daughters and our nieces and our sons' wives to go to a place and hear and participate in a conversation that shares with them wisdom and insight that we blow past, right? That's what Proven Not Perfect is. And when I told this guy who's, a grounded sort of funder guy, he's like, oh my God, he immediately started thinking about his own daughter, right? Now he's still thinking about how to support the funding of the thing, but he does get the concept. And I think that there's some stuff for us to unpack there, because we are in a season where there's more equitable thinking. I don't know how I'm feeling about the equitable activation to always support those new things that expand our understanding of those inequities in products, in services, which quite frankly then lead to these businesses that you and I have started. So I'd love to hear how that resonates for you guys. Are you having a different experience?
No, I think that kind of we have a parallel experience with that. A lot of most of the people we speak to are men, right? Just because that's kind of where the money is right now. And we find that.
And I want to change that. We don't say this on this platform. You know how we all have those nuggets that have just been in there? I have a nugget and a heart of love around. There's a place for my skills and my experience and my network serving the founding and funding of these things. And so there it is. I put it out there. So now all particles do what you do.
But yeah, they're definitely like, it can resonate because they can kind of see things through their wives' eyes and their older daughter's eyes. And they're like, yeah, we understand that. And we even just spoke to a CEO of another, of an athletic shoe company. They're minority owned. And this is a brother who's in partnership with his sister. And he's like, I can't believe that these products aren't out there for women. And he can empathize or sympathize with his sister's, needs. So there is a wokeness out there now. But I think there is kind of delayed activation, like there is with anything, in life, So it starts with the awareness. And, a lot of people will say to us like, oh, you guys should have an easy time because like you're Black and you're female. And so that's where all the dollars are going, and it's like, there's some money out there that's going, but it's still not like a thing, right? Like if you look at the percentages of like.
Y'all, I have to say this because I got to put this out there. Here's what's happening. Here's what I think is happening. It's created a season for every single brand to have an initiative around minority women and minorities getting exposed. These initiatives, if you peel them back, do a cattle call for thousands, hundreds, select a few, punch a box of certification and all the things. But I'm looking for the trail that shows me not just the one that wins all of the things, or the few that won the thing and the thing wasn't on the same scale as other
Right.
opportunities.
Right.
Where is the true incubator that says when you come out of this, you will be funded and invested in and launched because we understand you from bottom to top? I did, and I'm going to give a personal story. In Red Zone Fleet Services, our business, I was invited to participate in a Fortune 500 companies incubator with my business, and went through with all of the skills and years of experience that I have in this incubator, right? So it's not like you weren't making a smart bet to begin with, right? So
Right.
all I need is the funding, the money, and I don't
Right.
want to go broke with loans, right? So believe and invest in this, right? So you've got all the credentials and the business experience. You've got, as we can agree, a great business concept that's filling a market need. You go through this incubator, you present to this group that they've pulled together and amassed of other Fortune 500 brands.
Mm.
The firm itself that promoted this, coming out of it, we got nothing.
Mm.
We got
Mhm.
exposure.
That lot.
We
Mhm.
got, some extra certifications of W's and B's and M's and P's and all the things. But I'm sorry,
Mhm.
y'all. Like, I need the process to be easier. I need what the outcome is to reveal itself in true dollars.
Right.
I need to not be the poster child on your check mark on
Mm.
your diversity initiative program. Never been my story, as I have earned every experience to the boardroom as a corporate businesswoman, and won't be my experience with my entrepreneurial ventures. I believe in a free capital
Right.
society. I believe in that, right? I am that. So no,
Right.
I'm not trying to be in your pageantry. I will never do one of those again. Because I was
Wow.
like, this was,
Mm.
yeah. So anyway, I don't know. Well, tell me you guys.
No, we have heard that around, these accelerators or different initiatives that sort of like just leave you at this point. And it's not to say that there's not value creation out of those, but in some ways it's like we need to do more than have founders be grateful for exposure.
Mm.
Yes.
At the end of the day. But for Eva and I, for sure, we are trying to capture this moment because there is a moment where there's attention to it. So it's like with anything, like, can we push open that aperture? It's not opening on its own. Like, can we really force it open with the way that we are bringing this idea to market and how we're showing up and how we are, justifying it in some ways. But it is definitely the difficulty, but we are really focused and excited on this, and we're just going to keep clawing at it. But we definitely feel the difference,
Well, let's
as
talk
we're
about the value
launching.
prop. Let's talk about let's go business on them. So
Mhm.
let's drop some knowledge. So when we think about women focused footwear that has been medically proven as effective and checks the box of style, what is your competition, ladies?
Well, it's not much out there. The way you just described it, I can maybe think offhand of maybe one-ish brand, a half of a brand that kind of meets the mark, but there's a compromise or sacrifice usually that has to be made, right? So there's one brand that I'm thinking of, and they don't really hit the style mark, so they tend to attract an older demographic, that we're not trying to target necessarily. So that sweet spot, there's no other brand out there. You'll see a lot of commercials and they'll say like, oh, we have a podiatrist, on staff or podiatrist recommended, but that's different from an orthopedic surgeon specialist who's actually making the shoe starting from the mold with all of the pathology in mind and all of the science in mind. And then making it look really pretty and badass. So honestly, that shoe does not exist, and it can exist, especially in terms of like what North American women are exposed to. Other countries, like, are a little bit more are further along in this thought process, like Italy and just some Eastern European countries who really value like comfort and fit, and prioritize women's issues a little bit more. But as far as an American-based company, non-existent. And not even just to talk about the practical aspect of the shoe, but like our design perspective of being West African, of being urban, of being young and fresh, not just about the doctoring part and the science part, but just our perspective and how we see things in life. Our design perspective is 100% not represented at all. Wow. And so when we talk about like bringing colors from, West Africa, bright, bold colors, like, like this perspective is just missing. And I think it resonates with women of all different types of culture.
Who is she? Who is she that's going to crave this brand? Who is she? What is she doing? Where does she live? Let's talk a little bit about the brand placement of this business, because I'm drawn in, right? Who is she? Tell me about her.
Yeah. So our target consumer, the AmaFi woman, she is 35 to 55. Okay. She's looking for a smart casual shoe for work and for play, but then she also needs some support at home. So we'll get into that in a second. But generally speaking, we did market surveys of over 300 women and asked them exactly what is it that you're looking for a shoe? What's your shoe wearing experience? What's your shoe buying experience? And what we heard was, the shoe buying experience has become easier. Folks can easily go online. There are free returns. So that's not really the issue. The issue is the core function of the shoe and not having to break in your shoe and having all of these challenges that at the start are just around discomfort. But as Eva said at the start, can really lead to something more serious. And so, on the younger end of our spectrum, she may or may not be having any kind of foot issues. We've talked to a lot of women who were actually former athletes. And so they're carrying some issues from their youth into adulthood. So for all intents and purposes, they look really healthy. There's no issues, but because you've been banging on your feet for so long, you need something sooner rather than later. But some of those, the women for sure in the younger end, they're at the point, it's sort of like fashion or the comfort. They're a bit more focused on the fashion and can be because they're not, they don't have all those issues yet. They're just kind of starting their shoe wear journey. In the middle and towards the end, we heard from women and they said, I don't want to compromise anymore. And some said, I'm just wearing that comfort clog the whole day. And it doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel confident, but I am no longer going to sacrifice the health of my body for shoes. And then, there were those folks in the middle who are like, well, I just want a product now. Like, I don't even want to be put into that box and you just make the product now because I need this in the way that I need to show up, at work, in the evenings. And so, we find that we have our target customer runs across that gambit because they are just looking for that balance between style and comfort. And they're just done with being forced to break in these shoes that you're breaking in to not even last you and be good when you get to the other side of it. And so I think it'll be phenomenal feeling for women. We can't wait for that first trial when, we get that first pair out there and women slip their foot in there and just feel the difference. Because no one is thinking about casual and dress shoes with performance mixed in. You think about performance and it's more so about an athletic shoe, but that's something that Eva and our strategic partner, who is a footwear expert, have really brought into our brand. So thinking about a shoe performing for you during the day, getting you through your day. It's not a shoe where as soon as you get to your office or, you get somewhere where you can sit down, you can't wait till you kick them off your feet because they just feel so bad.
Well, I hear two things as I listen to you talk and, full disclosure, right? As an angel investor for years, I hear these pitches and there are two things that are resonating for me. One, you're talking technology.
Yes.
And I think from an investor standpoint, when I hear technology, I hear transferability, I hear patents, I hear longevity of IP. I hear asset. Okay, so that's one thing that I'll tell you, from the Chantrapal boardroom that I would say. The second thing that I hear is, I'm making a connection to the beauty industry and how that industry has done a brilliant idea of taking things that were not relied upon until later in life. The eye cream,
Yes,
the
exactly.
enhancement features, all those things that grandmama and mama used to invest in, but college girl and high school girl did not, because you don't, air quotes, you don't need that yet, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
beauty has now figured out, if we can tell stories, market our way upstream, we can pull forward, the college girl and the teenager to know that, well, if you start now, your journey will be even more effective than mama and grandmama. So I'm hearing that, because as you said, she's 35 to 55 and she's nearing that place of need. I'm like, wow, this actually really does, in a lot of ways, compare to that. And then the second thing I'm hearing is technology. The third thing I'm hearing is wrapped in beauty, right? Because those are the things that, using me as a test case of one, those are the things that resonate for me. I am the sister that would trudge around New York City in my heydays in the 20s with the most uncomfortable, too expensive, because this is how they got me. You making a little pocket change, you working on in finance in your 20s, and you feeling a little cute. So you go down to, the West Village and buy your little funky shoes with, 3.5, 4-inch clodhopper, whatever, and the leather on it, but not designed anywhere near preservation of feet, right? And I'm walking blocks in those. Blocks.
Yeah, we know that New York City life.
So I'm just saying, I feel like you guys are onto something really, really great. If this were a forum, because we know how the internet flows and all the things, you don't know who's going to hear this and whose daughter might hear it and say, you got to hear this, Dad. Or whose dad might just be hip and be listening on their own. What would you say in 60 seconds to get them to reach out to AmaFi and to ask you for a serious conversation on how they can be a part of what's the beginning of something super amazing?
Yeah. I would say that, number one, there needs to be a realization that women need better, just in general. And so if you're committed to improving the condition of women, then our brand is certainly a brand for you, and specifically issues around just women's wellness and their health. And if you want to prioritize kind of the needs of women, then our brand is for you. And like you said, I feel like we kind of sell ourselves. Like, we have the experience. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. Idara has his business experience. We are partnered with a shoe developer who is world renowned. And it's kind of like a no-brainer the way that we see it. We just need the capital to be able to get started, because when we look at other brands and how they've gotten started, they just have access to capital. And this is big capital. This is like, our seed round is about $1.2 million. This is not fast fashion, to be able to start a footwear brand, you need a lot of dollars. So it really feels like a no-brainer situation, and it's a success story from the beginning. And just, I wanted to add to what you said about who is the AmaFi woman. Yes. Because besides from her shoe needs, like, we've thought about this, and it's taken us 2 years to figure out who she is. And the woman is different from, just whoever's walking down the street. She's very thoughtful. She's kind of woke. She's willing to kind of go against the status quo and to stand on her own. She looks at social media, but she's still a leader and she still, knows who she is on her own. And so a lot of our brand has to do with like the message resonating with who this woman is, not just about creating another shoe. So the woman who wants to be healthy, but she's on a journey, like we all kind of like fall off of that journey sometimes, but she's just thinking of herself and she has bigger dreams and bigger goals and she wants to be healthy. That's our woman. And she's still a badass. Like she's fierce, she puts effort into how she looks, but she looks effortless. You know what I mean? Like she's like that type of girl. And so that's the woman that is really gonna resonate.
Anything more, Idara?
I would just say simply ask a woman. You can ask about any woman about her shoe experience, and she will tell you she does not have a great shoe wearing experience, and she has not from the start of her life. We all remember those tight black patent leather Mary Janes that we got squished into with those thick white stockings. So girls start this journey early. And then we are told to learn to just be restricted and all of that from a very early age. So this tolerance around pain and inconvenience, it gets seeded really early. So I would say ask a woman about that and she can take you back on a journey. I would say second on the business side. So that tells you on the business side, that tells you the demand out there. There's like 52 million working women in this country, and every one of them would put their hand up and take this shoe. The second side is, you look at the numbers, look at the market. This is a huge industry. There is room for growth here. There is room for our brand in this market. We say all the time, the world doesn't need another shoe company. The world needs a better shoe. The world needs this brand out there. Women need this brand that is not just about the shoe, but is advocating for them. We are looking to change the footwear industry to say, not just our shoe. It's not just like you were saying earlier, it's like tokenism. It's not to have finally one shoe out there that suits women, but we need to change the conversation about women's health in this country and in the world. And like you said, it's foundational to start with the feet. So there is a huge market for this. There's huge demand, huge need. But anyone who is questioning this, who has not somehow experienced it, because men experience it too, ask a woman. And, we're happy to talk to anyone about the market opportunity here because it is big. And you have just two passionate founders here that are looking to see this through and have the ability to. So we love it. We would love to have conversations with folks that are hearing this to talk about this all day. It's our passion.
I'm going to ask a tough question, you guys, only because it kind of mirrors a truth in my life. When will you concede a pivot based on the blocks or the walls that you get?
We're in that.
It's real. And that's why I wanted to put it up, because we need our daughters to know that all that passion and purpose for what you see, there's a perfect season and time for all of it.
Yes.
And just maybe, the season and time wasn't the one that you saw. Yes. But it doesn't mean you give up on the vision. And pivot is a beautiful word and a beautiful thing. Yes.
Yeah, I would say our earliest one was, so when Eva came up with this idea and we started to talk about it, we started planning. We are going to shoe studios. We are talking to people. We're reaching out. We were planning to go to Italy to meet with folks, to do deeper dives into shoemaking. And then COVID hits. And then what country does it hit first and hardest? Italy. So at that point, we were like, and this is before the whole world shut down. We were just kind of looking at Italy from afar, like, oh no, this is horrible. And it's likely going to spread, but we could have kept going. But we thought at that point, that was an inflection point of let's take a step back. And that's when it hit us. This is not about a shoe. This is about a brand. And that's when our strategic advisor, Brent James, was brought into our world. We did a simple reached out, blessed that he responded because he didn't have to. There was no reason for him to respond to us. But he did. And all of that one inflection point had us look internal and use this time to build out the brand and really think about our purpose and learn more and be better. So a pivot, like you said, a pivot is a beautiful word. It is, everyone's so excited about this for us. And like, where's the shoe? Where's the shoe 2 years later? But this is the journey. This is a journey. You learn if it's that easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yes.
So you take that word, you hold it, and you realize I got to do this because I'm not giving up. It's just a change in course.
Right on. And can you parallel process? Meaning, is there a misnomer that you have to be all in, broke and starving, or can you gracefully secure the boardroom in the bag in a corporate sense, and also gracefully burn the oil and do the things to see your business grow? Can you do them both?
Yeah, I'm a testament to that. I feel like, because first of all, just by being an entrepreneur by nature, you have to be optimistic, because otherwise, why would anyone decide to do this if you think you're not going to fail? And so we had that optimism, which was kind of blind, honestly, when we first started. Like, oh, we just need to raise $5 million over 3 years, and it's just not the reality.
Yes, underlined.
Yeah, right. It's just not the reality. So then we said, okay, let's just try and raise for that first year, which is about our current pre-seed round, which is about 1.2 million. And even though that's not big dollars in terms of like VC dollars, that's a big number for 2 Black women to raise. Yeah. So we've had to pivot even from that to where we are now and say, okay, how can we fund our R&D goals? It's like, we just got to take smaller bites. And in my mind, I know for sure that this is going to take off. And so there's no one's timeline that we have to be on. It's our own timeline. And so even the feeling like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have put it out there because people are asking about us, we should have just waited until we were already set. It's like, no, I want to put this out in the universe so people know. And I'm safeguarding my mental around trying to meet some crazy, in 2023 in June, we're going to have a shoe, because I really feel in my heart that this is going to work. And so we have a long runway. We can take our time. I can still raise my kids. I have a job because I have to, pay the bills. Yes, and this can all happen in a very graceful, way. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, because first of all, we're too old. Like, I'm too old to just stop working. I have too many responsibilities. Yes. Maybe if I would have started when I was 21, I could have just gone to Italy. Yes. But that's just not how it is for us now. And, honestly, we're not discouraged. We just stay on track, and we know that it's going to happen, and we have faith, and we believe that this is our purpose. Because when I wasn't walking in my purpose, when I was practicing, I felt it. Like, I felt negative, and I don't feel that way. That's a very palpable feeling when you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And so this is where we are now. So pivot is like a perfect word to use to describe the process.
Excellent. I resemble all of what you just said. Yeah. Well, sisters, literal sisters.
Literal sisters.
Both, and I'm rooting for you. And I just want all the energy surrounding the listening of this conversation to bring you even more interested people and great energy. And we're going to check back in. I can't wait to have the conversation where we're actually looking at the shoe and it's happening, right? But, I think it's important for people to know it starts with a start. I've said that to a couple people that I've mentored in the past. And some of them look at me and immediately get it. And some of them look at me and turn their heads sideways, like, what are you talking about? Of course it starts with a start. But if you get what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
The beauty of this journey is talking to people like you and feeling that energy and this is what this is about. Again, it's not about a shoe. We've met so many great people and just been able to just have great conversations and learn so much. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The authenticity is there. The authenticity is there. This is gonna be great. All right, y'all take care, be great, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, thank you.